Well, it's the end of 2021, and we've had a lot going on since our conference just recently there in Pittsburgh, finishing out the year strong and hadn't published a couple of clear skies. So I wanted to publish several of them that are going to be following up this one particular one about really the IBO Co-op Speedway. Lots of questions have come into play over time as far as the Speedway that had previously been a marketplace. And a marketplace is kind of where you bring buyers and sellers together. And, we think of that as kind of like an Amazon. And really the Speedway is a little differently. It's set up. It's set up differently. So people ask, are we a trade organization? Are we a business? Are we a nonprofit? What really is the IBO and the IBO Speedway? Well, first off, it's not a trade organization. We're a networking group. OAAA is our trade association. We're also not a nonprofit because that has certain tax ramifications to it, which are beneficial, but they're also must accept everybody in a particular sector in order to achieve that nonprofit status. So we need to be able to exclude bad actors, people that don't play ball well, that's in a commercial environment. And so that's why we're structured up as a limited liability company for all our entities. We have a number of different affiliated entities that are set up that sound similar: IBO Services, IBO Marketing, and there's going to be a couple of new ones, OOH Admin and OOH Info, that are going to be dealing with the traffic metrics world. And that's all set up for liability purposes and deployment. It's just the mechanisms by which we have to come by the bulk deals and the bulk data. The attorneys have advised us we just need different entities to keep things clear, even though it confuses things a little bit for you, the public. So the easiest way to visualize what we, the IBO Speedway, does and what we are is we're like an electric co-op. If you can imagine that friends networking in an area that said, gosh, we need to learn, we need to teach each other certain things, we need to have common ground. We're basically ranchers helping ranchers. And so we've used that analogy because that's where we come from, the Oklahoma area. So imagine Western lands. Back in the yesteryear, 1900 and earlier, there were no roads, there were no train tracks, there were no electric lines. And the pioneers that ventured out there saw that there was a need for developing roads, and then train tracks that followed the roads. And then down the train tracks came electric lines to deliver that juice that runs our modern lives today. So businessmen also stepped in and they bore the cost of running all those copper lines and all that infrastructure. And so co-op managers, once that occurred, because it had to be regionalized in different areas, they did all kinds of lofty deals. They were able to get with hydroelectric generators, nuclear plants, coal burning plants, gas-fired plants, all that kind of stuff to get bulk deals together to be able to drive and deliver the electricity for the different co-op members to use at reasonable prices. That's the purpose of it. So the managers could then manage the infrastructure. They could manage the rights of way, like the clearing the trees and access, and they provide a centralized staff to handle all the upgrades, changes in technology, and those kinds of things. So as the example then, as people would move into those co-op areas, they would buy raw land, and then they would ask to connect to the infrastructure so they could run their own lines from their new cabins and their new houses and whatnot that they built out to the main arterial feeder roads to connect up, tap in and get that electricity to light up their lives. And so what the IBO Co-op Speedway does is very similar. We develop the technologies. We develop delivery type systems. We also, it's kind of like the electric lines that you use to carry the data flow to the buyers. So visualize it that way. It's like connecting up hydro plants, making electricity available for the users. We pool tech power and we do these bulk efficiencies to be able to deliver buyers available inventory and ease of execution. So what you should really understand about this is that when the buyers send us revenues, that's our electricity. It's like the juice that lights us up. The speedway impressions, the insights, and traffic metrics are the tools, the electric lines, the structure, if you will. Buyers can do, with these large batch processing this way, they can save on their admin and they can have easy buttons to push. These tools are very much like those high voltages that reach out and get electricity to the users. Those lines carry across the country. Then they come down to local arterial lines and then to the branches out down to the areas of view. Ours is two-way, however, not where like electricity just comes down to us. Ours feeds up the information and then back down the information comes from those. So it's very complex. What in our world is called many to many. There's not just one supplier that delivers one thing one way and that's it. No, we're providing information up and they're providing information back, and the commerce happens in between when we find the meeting of those two minds. So it's a complex cloud, but it's as smooth as butter now, and we're really saving millions and millions of keystrokes. So recognize that the buying landscape has changed. In order to get your data accurate, we just have to have you focus on getting the data accurate. And if you consider getting a software system to organize your infrastructure, clean up that data, get it to where it's usable, pay attention to it, get new photos, get video links, and those kinds of things to help us sell your beautiful locations. And it's really up to us to go at a high level, to go out there and participate with OAAA, who's our trade organization, who is working side by side with the big three and now with IBO USA. And in order to tap into those larger budgets with the planning groups out there, the specialists and the folks that are above all the national agencies that deploy these international budgets, we think that it's the right time for the out of home to be able to get that. And our Speedway is helping us make that deployment of those dollars fast and easy for that buying community. So what you also need to do is learn about this traffic info. The entity OOH Info will come into your crosshairs as far as a convenient place for our industry. It's going to assist with the IBO people, but also everybody in the industry as well, to provide insights, impressions, and metrics, basically the electricity that jazzes up and lights up our revenues. So participate by subscribing in Lee's, learn about them, and know how much of an enormous impact it's going to have on our revenues in the world ahead. Have a wonderful, wonderful year 2022. 21 was a terrific one, and we're just really pumped up for our conference that's going to be in Kansas City in early May. Hope to see you there.